Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Another F1 podcast here on the Apex Motorsport. This is Season 3, Episode 3, and we've just had the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the second race of the season. And here to discuss it with me today is of course Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the podcast, and very quickly describe the race in 3 words.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Um, Interesting. Bad TV.
Okay. Yeah, there was definitely some discussions on social media about the TV direction, something which we'll get into in a little bit. But I think we'll start off, Ryan, by talking about the Charles Leclerc Max Verstappen battle. We know Verstappen eventually came out on top by winning the race ahead of Leclerc, but not by much. They were swapping places for a number of laps and put on a good battle. So Ryan, just talk to me about that battle. Is this something that you could see? We've talked about it before, but this is the next generation. This is the battle that we'll see for 10, 15 years. Do you still feel that that's going to be a case?
Yeah, especially with these new regulations. Maybe not the next 10, 15 years, because at some point there's going to be another regulation change. Obviously 2014, I'm pretty sure, was the last time we had it with the introduction of the turbo hybrid era. So if you think about it, that lasted 7 years. So there's a chance maybe 7 years time. Oh well, maybe not, because of the engine freeze. It's hard to know what's going to happen, but eventually things will change again. But I do feel that this battle that we're having right now is more than likely the new way forward. There's going to be two new teams. So at the minute, it used to be Ferrari and Mercedes, and then it went Mercedes Red Bull, but Mercedes always had the upper hand. Last year we really had a proper duel between the two, Red Bull and Mercedes. And now we've got Red Bull and Ferrari, which I think is going to be sort of the theme for the next year, possibly year and a half. I do feel at some point next season, depending on what happens, everyone's going to be a wee bit more comfortable. Spending cap, everything was spent then, now. So it's going to be good. Just even the battle alone that we seen there, they were toying at each other throughout the last couple of laps, trying to outbreak each other to make sure one or the other got the DRS over the other, to make sure they got the DRS down the main straight to make their move stick. We see with Max, he made the pass further before the lap, and then just at the start finish straight there's that DRS zone, and that's where you really want to make the move, because then you can stick, drive through high speed corners, and that's where they really have pace. It's a good battle. Hope it's the new Lewis Max saga. It's now the Max Leclerc saga, or Sainz, or Perez. We don't know. We just have to see how this rest of the season unfolds.
One thing we did see this weekend was one thing we didn't see rather is the aggressive Max Verstappen, which we seen towards the latter stage of last season when he was in the real title fight with Lewis Hamilton. This year, it may be just because it's the start of the season, he's not taking as many risks. He's not diving down the inside of a car and risking taking both of them out. He's been a lot more respectful. Ryan, do you think we're seeing a more mature Verstappen now that he is a world champion, and do you think that maybe because he's a world champion, he doesn't feel as under pressure as much to really perform and go for that title again?
Well, if you really think about it, up until now, he's had nothing to lose. We knew Lewis was either gonna get the championship or he would just miss out, depending if Max was ignorant enough, I would use that word, to really push into corners and challenge him for, race wins. Now he has his championship under him. He sort of either has to think strategically, does he want to try and secure a second? Because if he wants to try and secure a second, he's going to have to play the long game. If he plays the fast, sharp, determined, sort of dangerous way, which he has done most of the time, which usually works out in his favour anyway, because everyone usually backs out for Max, just because of the way he is, and it's either if you don't back out, it ends in a crash. Crashing out now could cost him the championship, especially after the first race of the season, them getting absolutely no points. So I feel that he's maybe had a little talk, or Christian's had a little talk with Max, been alright, you got your championship, you've done really well last season, but we need to knuckle down, iron out a few things, and try not to crash the car because we kind of need as many points as we can now. So, I think he's sort of starting to relax a bit more, as he's sort of understanding that to really keep winning, to do what Lewis was doing, you got to be cool, calm, and drive smoothly, not recklessly.
Yeah, it definitely looks like him winning the title has lifted the pressure and eased the aggressive side of him a little bit. I still think this is something we're going to see come back later in the season. If he's still in the championship battle, which I fully expect he will be. It does appear to be really the Leclerc versus Verstappen battle this season for the title. Whether or not Mercedes will be able to sort of bring it back and have Russell and Hamilton back in the mix, we'll have to wait and see in that one. But Sergio Perez this weekend was mightily impressive for Red Bull. He claimed his first pole position, the first ever Mexican driver on pole position, and in the race, he was leading it for a good portion and looked he had a strong chance of winning. Before the safety car come out, he pitted the lap before, and that's just the look of the draw. It's happened to nearly every driver in the grid where they've lost a brilliant race position because of the safety car. It's just the way things go in Formula 1. But Ryan, just what did you make of Sergio Perez this weekend, and do you think this was the first real time we got to see the Sergio Perez that Red Bull took a chance on to replace Albon?
I don't even think they took a chance on him. I think they knew, here's an amazing driver. Yes, he's out of a contract. He's going to be getting booted out of the team. We need a bounce on this man right now. Like, everyone was like, they'll find someone better. That's just the Red Bull way. Or they'll bring someone else up from somewhere. No, they needed someone with experience, with understanding of the team, and who genuinely had decent race pace, which is what Sergio has. Sergio has been probably spent the whole last season just trying to improve his qualifying pace, because that's where he even admits himself he's not the strongest in the one-shot qualifying. He's better over a race distance where he can build up, be more confident, take more risks, understand the car a bit better, find its limits over a long period of time. I think Perez was the right option, and I'm glad to see it. We seen him. Everyone was saying, "Oh, did they swap Max and Sergio's car?" No, Sergio was just a lot faster than Max for once, which is surprising. I don't know what happened. Max, was he sick or something? I don't know, but Sergio put in an absolute perfect lap. I watched it back in the comparison with Charles Leclerc, his lap, and I was like, "There's no way no one's beating that." And then next thing was it's two 100, well, 25 100s, which is like, yeah, very very short distance. It's like me tapping, and yeah, it's quick. It's good to see this happening, and it was his first pole in his entire career, which is amazing. He got his first win in his entire career, not last season, but just at the very end of the season before. No, that was his pole.
Yes,
I
it
can't
was.
remember.
It was Sakir.
Yeah, it was
Sakir. He won.
The Racing Point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Just needed to verify myself, because
Yes.
memory doesn't be exactly working 100% at the minute. And then the race after, didn't he have the oil leak? The oil leak blew his engine. That was sad. Yeah. I've forgotten where we're going with this. All I know is Sergio is a beast. I love Sergio, and I was glad he got that seat, and I'm glad he's finally proven it.
Yeah, it was a very strong performance, and I think it's one thing we've seen this weekend where when your lead driver isn't performing well, your second driver, in quotation marks, the other driver in your team, really stepped up this weekend, and we've seen that with Mercedes, with George Russell not having the best weekends in terms of a Mercedes driver, but in the context of the season so far, his weekend was very strong, and he dominated Hamilton in the battle of the teammates. Hamilton really struggled. He was knocked out in Q1, which first time I've seen him do that in a very long time. It's been a while since that's happened. I think it's
Since
his
2009?
worst. I think it's his worst qualifying performance since Silverstone 2012. I think that's his worst performance. Which, for Lewis Hamilton's standard, he should be really fighting for pole, but he doesn't have the car this year, and some Mercedes that they know, and I think the short time between Bahrain testing, the Bahrain Grand Prix, now the Saudi race, and Australia coming up, I think they're earmarking Imola, which is the fourth race of the season, to sort of bring new parts of the car, bring a nearly enough brand new car to really mount a championship battle, because they're going to be really struggling. But Ryan, just tell me about Lewis Hamilton and George Russell this weekend. Do you think this was a Russell laying down a marker that he's actually the stronger of the pair, or did we just see a very rare bad weekend for Sir Lewis Hamilton?
I think it's your second statement. I think Lewis just had an absolute shocker of a weekend. He was sort of off the pace the whole weekend. If we really analyze it that much, he was quite good in practice sessions, but practice you can never really tell, can you? And then we come to qualifying, and it's just barely even, just awful. It was the worst thing I've seen in a long time, and like I thought, oh, here we go, he's gonna pull out a cracker now, last minute. Nope, no, just everything fell to pieces. I don't know whether he was just too scared to go too close to the wall and damage the car, or what. He just sort of, I suppose, daisied around it. And a car that we seen was slightly competitive for George Russell. How could Hamilton not extract the same out of the car? Because if anything, Lewis, he's been able to adapt to the car better usually. So it's like, what is going on here? I was kind of not disappointed, but it's disappointing for him. He's had this long record of never getting knocked out of Q1 and like so long and stuff like this, and it's like, how did this happen? What happened in the Mercedes when they were setting up that car? What happened? No idea. It's just bad weekend. And lucky for George, he was there to pick up the pieces, did what the, in quotation marks, number 2 driver is supposed to do. But we all knew George was something special, and now he's there and he's proven his worth. So yeah.
And if we go on to Ferrari now, obviously they had yet another double podium. This week it was a second and third place rather than the first and second place that they had in Bahrain. But for Carlos Sainz, he's living in dreamland right now. He's driving a Ferrari car, which is something that nearly every racing driver wants to do. And he joined the team when they were struggling. There was talk that they would be down near the back of the midfield. They weren't going to do much. And this season, they are performing the best I've seen them for a number of years. And given that Sainz really only had one good season before joining Ferrari, when that was with McLaren, he's proved to everyone that actually he is a very good driver, and 2 back-to-back podiums for him is incredible. Ryan, talk to me about Carlos Sainz and how impressed you've been with him so far this season.
Yeah, since he left McLaren, I was like, that's a real gamble. Obviously, it was going there. It was a 2-year or 3-year. No, it was a 2-year contract, I think he got. So that was last season, and this season now he's obviously in with a contract, either an extension or a renewal or whatever's happening. I don't know exactly what's happening right now, but there's still talks about it. And it's one of those things. I thought it was a real risk. McLaren were getting these new Mercedes engines for that season, and I was like, right, things are going to start looking up here, and why is he deciding to go to Ferrari, who are stuck in the slum? I thought they wouldn't be able to get out of it, but they must have spent some amount of time back in Italy, just constantly just developing this new car, finding their little rulebook tricks to try and tweak their way into more power, but they're actually doing it legally this time, because they're not dominating the field more than what Red Bull is. It's nice even at the minute. It seems to be nice even racing. No one team is more faster than the other, and at that, well, Ferrari are faster in slow speed corners. The Red Bull seem to have the the straight line speed that Mercedes had pretty much forever. It was just great to see. But Carlos Sainz, I thought it was a real gamble going to that team, and he even last season he outscored. He finished on top of Leclerc in the standings, so he's clearly doing something right. He managed to drag that car into some great positions to get some pretty good, decent points for the team. And overall, I think he's going to probably adapt to that car and find the rhythm Charles has within the next few races. And then it really is just a straight down battle to who's the most comfortable with this car between the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, unless Mercedes finally pack their bags, go back to the workshop and get cracking and see if they can extract any more power out of their engines. I like how Toto keeps saying it's an aero problem, but it's definitely the engines if all of the cars are at the back, because not every single Mercedes customer team has bad aero problems. It's the engine, Toto. Get it sorted.
So this weekend we also saw some difficulties in how we were watching the Grand Prix, and we got to see the entire Grand Prix and everything went perfectly fine that way, but the TV direction just seemed to be a little bit off. It wasn't up to its normal standards, and I think given that it's a brand new circuit, we've only raced there once before and that was only a few months ago, you can give them some leeway of not knowing where the best shots are, but the amount of replays that they're showing and some of the choices of battles, it just didn't create the best sort of Grand Prix from a visual point of view. Ryan, just what's your thoughts on the TV direction this weekend?
Overall, I think it was okay. We've obviously had worse, so we go back to the Monaco Grand Prix. Oh no, what's happened? We need to know. One of the classic Crofty lines. It wasn't that bad, but it was still annoying just constantly. There'd be a moment where Max and Charles would be getting close to each other, or Sergio and Charles, or whoever was chasing who, and then they would show a replay of something else that's happened, or a corner before where they were just like neck and neck, and it's like, why are you showing us a replay whenever they're probably already doing it right now on the live coverage, but you're not showing us that instead? And then there was moments where we were just stood there looking at the Alpines, just BWT getting all this lovely airtime on TV. It was, I'd swear it was nearly like 10 laps long, just constant Fernando and Ocon battling each other, and then Bottas comes into the mix and they're right breaking each other, having a right go, and it's like, right, we're watching this, but what's happening at the back of the field? What's happening to Zhou? Why is he dropping down? Or Hulkenberg? We haven't seen any coverage of Hulkenberg. The only coverage we've seen of the Aston Martins was whenever Alex Albon and Lance Stroll had a wee tussle in one of the corners near the end of the race. We seen Latifi go into the wall. We didn't actually see him go in. We just sort of seen it on replay once again, showing more replays because they're not constantly watching the screens. I don't know if it was an F1 problem or if they have once again hired out operators from that country to man the cameras. The only difference is Monaco is completely controlled by the Monaco people. F1 doesn't really get much of a direction over it. The helicopter, I don't even think we had it. Did we have a helicopter? Did we even see much of the helicopter?
Yeah, we there was one, but it was more sort of that shot that we seen. It was mainly on the Saturday for the qualifying of just the coast, where they played the same shot or done it. I'm not sure if it was or it was done live, but it was the same type of shot we seen during the red flag. They did have the full hour, but we seen that so often.
I honestly can't remember. Maybe they sort of decided not to use the helicopter because of the other reason something happened in that area that we shall not mention to keep this completely and perfectly normal. Yes. But no, I think the TV coverage was a wee bit ugh. The only real good bits was, I suppose, the pit stops. Pit stops aren't hard to mess up. Someone comes into the pit camera, no. It's like, okay, that's good. And then box camera, oh, that's good. Oh, look, here comes Lewis. Is he going to get out of the pits before? We got to see that, I suppose, with Sergio and Sainz. We got to see that wee bit coming. But that was pit stops. Pit stops are always usually done live, not replays. But we got 3 replays, I think, then of the just, Checo and Sainz coming out of the pit lane to show who came out first, who had the right of way. Oh, it was awful. Yeah, TV direction needs a wee bit of sorting. Hopefully it's sorted for the next race in Australia.
Yeah, hopefully so. And it's crazy we've got this far in the podcast. We haven't yet mentioned Mick Schumacher's horrible crash on Saturday in qualifying. We'll not go into it too much because we know that he's walked away perfectly fine, and it's a credit to Haas for creating an incredibly safe car and all the steps that everyone has taken, especially since Romain Grosjean's crash.
Yep.
It's great to see him be able to walk away with that unhurt, which there's a point where I thought he's going to be badly injured here because it was quite a hefty impact. It was straight in a concrete wall, and we'll not get into the whole concerns about the Saudi track and the circuit because I think it's the last time we'll see this circuit. I think they're moving to a new one. It's not been a great circuit in terms of safety. For racing, it's been okay. It's been very fast, a lot of corners, but it's great to see Mick Schumacher walk away from that crash. But we'll go on to some predictions now, and I think we were level after the Bahrain Grand Prix, one apiece.
Yes.
And you have now taken a lead by getting 2 points to my 1 this weekend. We both got a point for Verstappen being on the podium. Top step. I think we've agreed that for the sake of us getting more points, if we say a driver's going to be on a podium, if they're on the podium at all, that's going to be a point. But obviously, say we put Sainz and Leclerc as second and third, we need to get the race winner correct to get the point there. But then you also got an additional point for saying Charles Leclerc fastest lap, so well done for that. But Ryan, your Australian Grand Prix is so excited to be back in Australia after 2 seasons missing it. Right. Yeah, who do you think is going to get pole position in Australia?
Pole position. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is going to be a Red Bull lockout this weekend. So I'm going to go with Max Verstappen.
Okay. I'm going to go with Leclerc. Because I'll go the opposite
Do you want to know a quick reason why? Remember, they've adapted the track to make it more high speed, less sharp corner turns. So it's going to be more longer, straighter speed, which means Red Bull, more power. Yeah, that's it.
Very true. Okay. And your race winner?
Unless reliability problems happen again, I think it's going to stay quite similar. Max Verstappen.
Okay. I'm going to change things up and go for Perez victory.
Would be nice. Would be really nice.
And for your podium, so who will be joining Verstappen?
I think Charles is going to be up there again. Most definitely.
Okay.
Oh. I think I did say it would be a Red Bull lockout, so I'm going to say Perez as well. I was tempted to possibly go with a Mercedes, but I think they're still just too far off, completely too far off.
For now, yeah. I'm going to go for Leclerc and Verstappen to back up the podium. Hopefully there'll be a nice entertaining battle between them. And fastest lap, Ryan?
Fastest lap. Carlos Sainz.
Okay.
I think he's just going to be outside of it, that he'll just go for the fastest lap point. If he's
I was going to say the same, but I'll change it to Gasly.
Yo-ho. Well.
And, well, your wildcard prediction?
Oh, yes. Love these. Okay. I'm going to steal yours from last time. Both Haas in the points.
Okay, yeah.
Come on, Mickey
I'm
boy.
going to go for Bottas top 6.
Bottas.
Why not?
Bottas top 6.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think he's been very impressive with all of them. So yeah, Ryan, I think that's going to be all for this podcast. You got any final remarks before we close it out?
Oh man, I keep forgetting I have to think of something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we'll just have to wait until next one. But yeah, I'll just say you've gone Bottas top 6. Very disappointed that Bottas got taken out of that race. But yeah.
Yeah.
He's proved himself that he should have still remained in that seat. But he should have replaced Lewis and partnered with George. Two enemies become frenemies.
Yeah, Bottas definitely has proved himself, and it's proven to be the right decision to move team because they are definitely outperforming Mercedes so far. But yeah, that's going to bring this podcast to close. If you watch this on YouTube, thank you for watching it there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, give the video a like if you did enjoy it. And if you're listening to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you for listening, and subscribe, follow, whatever way you do it on your platform. And all the support in us has been fantastic, and we really appreciate that. But yeah, that's going to end this podcast. Thank you all so much for listening or watching, and we hope you'll join us in the next one for the Australian Grand Prix. Goodbye.